Welcome back, everybody. We're diving into a topic today um, that a lot of you requested, nail biting.
Oh, yeah. Definitely a popular one.
We've got some great research lined up, so we're going to explore the reasons behind it, what it might say about us, and of course, how to kick the habit.
It's pretty common too.
Yeah, for sure. Like 20 to 30% of people bite their nails.
Yeah, and it's interesting how something so common can also be so misunderstood,
Okay.
like nail biting. It's actually classified as a body-focused repetitive behavior. We call it a BFRB for short.
BFRB. Okay, I'm not familiar with that.
Basically, it's a category of behaviors that involve, well, repetitive actions focused on the body,
Okay, I see.
like skin picking, hair pulling, and yeah, our topic today, nail biting.
Gotcha. So it's not just a random habit, like there's a scientific classification for it.
Exactly.
So what makes something a BFRB then?
Well, these behaviors are often done without even thinking about it.
Hmm.
They're repetitive and they can lead to damage. Like, think about nail biting, infections, skin damage, even dental issues.
Yeah, true, true. Okay, I see the connection now. It's interesting to think about all those habits as like being related in a way. Have you ever noticed yourself doing any of those besides nail biting? I mean,
Yeah, absolutely.
right.
I
Yeah.
think most people have engaged in at least one BFRB at some point.
Yeah.
And it kind of makes you wonder, why we do these things to ourselves.
Yeah. Why are we doing that?
But
For
we
me, I know I bite my nails when I'm stressed, but sometimes it's like when I'm just bored too. It's like my hands have a mind of their own.
Right. And it's not always just stress either. Like, these behaviors can actually be a way of regulating emotions. For example, nail biting can be stimulating when you're bored, but then calm you down when you're anxious.
So it's like a built-in coping mechanism almost.
Sort of, yeah.
Does that mean like there's a deeper psychological component going on here?
There can be. Not everyone who bites their nails has an underlying mental health condition, but it can be a symptom of things like anxiety, obsessive compulsive disorder, or even perfectionism.
Perfectionism.
Yeah.
How does that connect to nail biting?
Well, it might seem counterintuitive, but some people bite their nails in an attempt to smooth out imperfections. They're trying to make their nails perfect, but in the process, they end up damaging them.
Oh, wow, that's interesting. So I've got emotional regulation, potential psychological connections. What about the physical side of things, like the actual habit itself? How do you break it?
Let's get into some practical tips. One effective method is something called habit reversal training. Basically, it involves becoming more aware of when you bite your nails and then consciously replacing that behavior with a different one.
So instead of biting, you do something else with your hands.
Right.
What kind of replacement behaviors are we talking about here?
It really depends on what works for you. Some people find fidget toys helpful, like stress balls or fidget spinners. Others prefer activities that engage their hands, like knitting or drawing. The key is to find something that keeps your hands busy and your mind off biting.
Okay, so we've talked about habit reversal training. What other techniques can people try to stop biting their nails?
Another classic strategy is using bitter tasting nail polish.
Oh, yeah.
It's designed to create like a negative association with nail biting.
Yeah, I can imagine that's pretty effective. Nobody wants to keep biting if their nails taste terrible. Any tips on how to use that successfully?
I think the key is consistency. Apply it regularly, especially after washing your hands so that taste is always there. And don't forget the underside of your nails too.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people tend to bite there.
That's a good point. So it's all about like disrupting that automatic habit. The research also mentions keeping your nails short and well groomed. How does that help?
Well, short nails just provide less surface area to bite. And when your nails look and feel good, you're less likely to want to damage them.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So regular manicures or even just using a nail file to smooth out any rough edges can make a big difference.
It's interesting how even those little changes in our environment can influence our behavior. What about those times when you feel the urge to bite, but you don't have a fidget toy or nail polish handy? What can you do in the moment?
Mindfulness can be a really powerful tool. When you feel that urge, just take a moment to pause and notice the sensation. What does it feel like? Where in your body do you feel it?
So you're bringing awareness to the physical sensation itself.
Right. And often just by observing that urge, without judgment, you can create enough space to choose a different response.
Okay, I can see how that would be helpful. It's like you're interrupting that automatic pilot mode and taking back control. Any other mindful techniques that can be helpful?
Deep breathing exercises can be really helpful in calming down the nervous system. When you feel stressed or anxious, your breathing tends to become shallow and rapid. By consciously slowing down your breath, You send a signal to your body that it's time to relax.
Do you have any like specific breathing exercises that you recommend? Something our listener can try right now.
Absolutely. One simple technique is called box breathing. You inhale slowly for a count of 4, hold your breath for a count of 4, exhale slowly for a count of 4, and then hold your breath again for a count of 4. Repeat this cycle for a few minutes, focusing on the sensation of your breath.
I like that it's so simple and easy to remember. You could do that like discreetly anywhere, anytime.
Exactly. And the more you practice it, the more easily you'll be able to access that sense of calm when you need it.
We've covered a lot of practical tips, but I'm still really intrigued by the creative alternatives that you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, sometimes you need a little more fun and creativity to break free from a habit. One idea is to find a healthy way to satisfy that oral fixation. So chewing gum or crunchy snacks can be a great alternative.
Oh yeah, I've used chewing gum to help me quit smoking before, so I could see how that would apply here.
Yeah, and if you're going the snack route, opt for healthy options like carrot sticks or celery or apple slices.
Right?
It's a win-win. You're satisfying that urge to chew and you're getting some nutrients.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Speaking of healthy habits, what about exercise? Can that help with nail biting?
Absolutely. Exercise has so many benefits for both physical and mental health, and it can be a really effective way to manage stress and anxiety.
Right, because we were talking about how stress can be a major trigger for nail biting.
Exactly. And when you exercise, your body releases endorphins, which have those mood-boosting effects. Plus, it can help you channel nervous energy in a positive way, and that can reduce that urge to bite your nails.
So it's not just about like keeping your hands busy, it's about shifting your entire physiological state. What kind of exercise do you recommend?
Any activity that gets your heart rate up and makes you feel good is beneficial. Find something you enjoy, whether it's running, swimming, dancing, or even just taking a brisk walk. The important thing is to make it a regular part of your routine.
Gotcha. All right, so we've got chewing gum, crunchy snacks, exercise. What other creative tricks do we have up our sleeves?
Have you ever heard of fidget rings?
Fidget rings. No, tell me more.
They're basically stylish rings that are designed with spinning parts or beads or different textures that you can fidget with discreetly.
Uh-huh.
It's a great way to keep your hands busy and satisfy that need for sensory stimulation.
I love that. It's like a combination of fashion and function.
Exactly. And there are so many different styles available to suit your personal taste. It's all about finding what works for you and making it enjoyable. And don't underestimate the power of artistic activities, too, like drawing, painting, sculpting.
Yeah, those are great for stress relief too.
They offer a creative outlet for emotions, and they keep your hands engaged in a productive way. Plus, you get to create something beautiful in the process.
These creative alternatives are so inspiring. It's like reframing the whole challenge of breaking a habit into an opportunity for self-expression and exploration.
Whew.
Okay, so we've explored a lot of practical tips and some really creative alternatives, but there's one more piece of the nail-biting puzzle that I think we should discuss.
Yeah.
And that's stress. We touched on it earlier, but I want to dig a little deeper.
Yeah.
Is stress really the main culprit behind nail biting?
Well, it's definitely a key factor, but the relationship is a little more nuanced than just stress equals nail biting.
Okay.
For years, stress was seen as like the primary cause, but more recent research suggests it's more about how nail biting helps regulate our overall arousal level.
Okay, so what does that mean?
Well, think about it this way. Nail biting can both calm us down when we're overstimulated, and it can also provide stimulation when we're bored. So it's less about the specific emotion of stress and more about just finding a way to kind of modulate your internal state.
Oh, so whether I'm feeling anxious about a deadline
Yeah.
or just kind of restless on a lazy Sunday, nail biting is my way of finding that middle ground.
Exactly. It's a way of seeking equilibrium, a sort of built-in coping mechanism for both high and low arousal states.
But if it's not always directly caused by stress, then why does it seem like nail biting gets so much worse when we are stressed?
Because stress tends to lower our inhibitions,
Uh-huh.
which can make us more likely to fall back on those automatic behaviors like nail biting.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, major life stressors can definitely trigger or worsen the habit, so it's kind of a vicious cycle, right?
Right.
Stress leads to nail biting, which then causes more stress because of the, guilt and the damage.
That makes total sense. It's almost like the stress amplifies those pre-existing tendencies. So how do we break free from that cycle then?
Well, addressing the stress itself is key.
Yeah.
That's where those stress management techniques we discussed come in. Things like exercise, meditation, spending time in nature, deep breathing. These can help us build resilience and cope with stress in healthier ways, which then reduces the urge to bite our nails.
So it's like a holistic approach. It's not just about stopping the nail biting itself, but about addressing the underlying factors that are contributing to the habit.
Exactly. It's about understanding the complexity of this behavior and finding strategies that work for you on all those different levels, physical, emotional, and psychological.
This deep dive has been so insightful. We went from thinking about nail biting as just a bad habit to really understanding it as this complex behavior with a fascinating interplay of, causes and consequences.
Yeah, and I think the best part is that this knowledge can really empower you to make some positive changes. Now that we understand why we bite our nails, we can start to explore those tools and techniques that will help us finally break free.
For sure. What stands out to you from today's deep dive? What strategies are you going to try? Let us know. Share your experiences with us on social media. And remember, you are not alone in this journey. With the right tools and support, you can overcome nail biting and cultivate a healthier, happier relationship with yourself. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, everybody.